no-deal exit was averted on both the 29th of March and the 12th of April, and the EU 27 and the UK have agreed to an extension of Article 50 to the 31st of October 2019. The extension's flexible this time, and the UK could leave earlier if the withdrawal agreement is ratified before this date. Cross-party talks are continuing in a search to find a majority in Parliament for a position, whether this be an amendment to the political declaration to include a customs union or something else. Events that were impossible under the previous timeline are now viable, including a change in the Conservative Party leadership and/or a general election. It's worth remembering that all the options I've just mentioned are processes to help get to an end result, not a conclusion in themselves. We're also no closer to understanding what the future trading relationship between the UK and EU is going to look like. Business therefore needs to continue its close monitoring on Brexit's twists and turns. Business reaction to a further extension was muted. While many were relieved that a no-deal exit on the 12th of April was averted, there's still no certainty as to what the final outcome of the negotiations will look like. Instead, there are potentially 2 new dates for business to plan towards, and a third possible date in the event cross-party talks are successful and the withdrawal agreement is agreed. Brexit uncertainty should also be viewed in the context of the wider, growing economic headwinds. Large businesses are now holding high levels of cash on their balance sheets to protect against risks in this uncertain environment. Office for National Statistics data shows that at the end of 2018, UK corporates held a record $747 billion in cash. That's equivalent to 35% of GDP and almost 1/3 higher than in early 2016. With the continued uncertainty, businesses are finding it challenging to navigate the environment and make informed judgments about future plans. Deloitte's latest CFO survey, issued in April 2019, saw CFO pessimism over the long-term effects of Brexit rise to its highest level since the EU referendum in 2016. 81% of CFOs now expect Brexit to lead to a deterioration in the overall environment for business in the long term. So as a result, CFOs are appearing to adopt defensive strategies such as reducing costs, reducing leverage, and increasing cash flow. That being said, for every story of UK businesses moving part of their operations out of the UK, there are positive stories of big brands expanding their operations, particularly in the digital, life sciences and creative industries. Indeed, the UK remains one of the most attractive places to invest, with inbound acquisitions more than doubling to $71 billion in 2018. Ultimately, the Brexit risks to businesses that we've highlighted in the past, access to markets, people and supply chain, they haven't changed. This new window of time does, though, allow businesses to reconsider their Brexit strategies, including refining those contingency plans. So if your business previously only had time to implement tactical measures, there may now be time for more strategic action. I'll give 4 examples for now. Applying for authorised economic operator status. Although it can take a few months to apply, it should help significantly simplify your import and export processes for the future. Assess how your workforce might be impacted. Whilst there is now much more clarity from the UK on how they will treat the movement of EU workers, there is less clarity from individual EU 27 member states. Reviewing and reinforcing your legal and contractual positions in order to protect trademarks and ensure free flow of data, for instance. And the 4th, undertaking a detailed supply chain and logistics mapping exercise to help prepare your business to be able to transition smoothly to the new trading environment, whatever it might be. The level of activity you may have already undertaken will vary from business to business. For example, regulated sectors such as financial services and pharmaceuticals have already had to move parts of their business or functions to other EU countries as a result of regulatory requirements. For the most part, however, the mitigating actions you've put in place are likely to still be relevant, although the actions of both the UK Parliament and the EU 27 makes no deal seem less likely than a few months ago. We shouldn't forget that no deal remains a potential outcome as at the 31st of October. One immediate area to focus on is if you've stockpiled additional goods. You're now faced with having to decide what to do with them. Indeed, UK stockpiling across all industries is reported to be at record high levels, as illustrated by this IHS market graph. Brexit stock is taking up space in warehouses, tying up working capital and impacting cash flows. You may want to consider adjusting your Brexit stock and warehousing capacity to more normal trading levels given the extension. Don't forget to take into account all of your stakeholders though, and keep an eye on any new notifications from governments and regulators that are relevant to your business, not only in the UK but also from the European Commission and individual member states. Whilst the major Brexit preoccupation is the ongoing relationship between the UK and the EU and what that means for continuing trade, another important consideration is the UK's ability to trade with other non-EU countries once outside the bloc. In 2017, 56% of UK exports go to countries outside of the EU. This trade depends on agreements the EU has put in place, either one of the 40-odd full free trade agreements or sector-specific agreements like those which establish mutual recognition of conformity assessment for product standards. It's not a given that the UK will be able to continue to trade on the same terms as currently exist with those countries. For example, the trade agreements that the UK has replicated with Norway, Switzerland and Iceland in a no-deal scenario only covers physical goods trade, not services. Or if the agreement with Mexico is not replicated, then those UK companies bidding for government procurement contracts in Mexico would no longer be able to do so. If the UK leaves under the terms of the withdrawal agreement, or something very similar to it, then the UK would have to continue to offer the same terms to third countries as it does currently as a member of the EU. Conversely, the EU would request that those countries continue to treat Britain as though it were a member of the EU, but neither the UK nor EU could compel them to do so. There is a risk of creating a one-way street for trade, but both the EU and the UK hope to avoid this, of course. Understanding if you currently benefit from one of the existing trade arrangements is a crucial part of your Brexit preparation. So if you trade goods or services outside of the EU, you should map and monitor developments in negotiations with relevant countries to assess how you might be impacted. Brexit is a business risk like any other, which can be planned for and mitigated against. Our Central Brexit team are here to help you navigate Brexit and offer advice on topics ranging anywhere from supply chain and tax to data and people. Our advice is to not waste this chance to use the time available during the extension to ensure your business is fit for purpose. If you have any questions on how Deloitte can best help you and your business, please don't hesitate to contact us.